Friends, this is our first podcast for the Gathering Kids team. We have been hoping for this moment for so long. Yes. I'm Elizabeth Hogan. I am the director of kids ministry here at the Gathering, and I am here with my amazing team, people who care about kids so much, and we'll introduce ourselves to you. But we're really excited to take some time and just help you understand what's happening at Gathering Kids and all of the cool things that we have going on, and also introduce the video series that are available to you if you log in and follow us on YouTube, because we have a new channel that's coming out. So we hope to reach out to you once a month and make sure that everybody just has an idea of what's coming up for kids at the Gathering. It's a good place to be. So friends, will you introduce yourselves? I feel like, it would be really helpful for us all just to say who we are, who our kids are, how we got to the Gathering, what's our deal. Bentley, you want to go first?
Yeah, my name is Bentley Coughlin. I'm very new here. I am the site director for kids at the Webster site. I have two kids myself. I have Josie, who's 2, and Jamie, who's 6. I came to the Gathering through a friend named Dean Thompson, who invited me, 2019 maybe, to come to a visit. And he kept not being there, but everybody else was so welcoming, we kept coming back. So that's how we've landed.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you.
Ellie, what about you?
All right, I'm Ellie Sanazero. I'm the new Gathering Kids site leader at Clayton. Last week was my first week, and had a great time there. I go to Clayton with my husband, Scott. I have a 7-year-old daughter named Rosalie, a 5.5-year-old daughter named Leonie, a 4-year-old son named Finn, and an almost 2-year-old son named Cal. So we've got a big crew, and they love church, which is really great. We came to the Gathering fall of 2021, really just looking for a safe place for our family to worship, kind of still in the midst of COVID. So the Gathering ended up being that place for us, and we're really grateful.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you all are with us. And Bentley, you mentioned, and Ellie, you mentioned it was your first week at Clayton site. We're all sort of new to our positions. I've been worshiping at the Gathering for 12 years. I have 2 little girls, Ellie and Ava, who are 6 and 8. And we're at the McCausland site and really, really grateful to be a part of this community. So I know I can speak for us and say that we're excited about all the things happening for kids, because we have kids and we love kids, and it's really good stuff going on. So I just want to talk you through a little bit about what our goals are for each of our grade levels that we work with. So when we say Gathering Kids, we're really focusing on birth through 5th grade, right? Yep. And, when we are welcoming kids into our spaces, for our nursery kids, we want them to feel safe and loved at church and to know that church is a safe place. But for our pre-K kids and older, we're now making these videos available online through our curriculum, which is Orange Curriculum. And we have some goals for every age group, right? So for our pre-K kids, they're really forming their first impressions of God's love. And what that means and what that looks like. So teaching them that God made them, that God loves them, and that Jesus wants to be their friend forever and is a friend for them. And I love seeing that play out in our classrooms, but also so excited that this can now be something that can be available for our families that worship from home. Now for our elementary kids, we have a couple different videos that are available on our YouTube channel. And those are kind of divided up for lower elementary or early elementary and upper elementary. And their goals are actually the same, but the way that we approach those goals are a little bit different. So for our younger elementary kids and older, we are really hoping that kids will start to grow in wisdom and faith and friendship. So that happens in a couple of ways. First, they need to make wise choices. I mean, all of us who have kids know that is a continual work in progress. Yes. But needing to make wise choices and thinking about what that looks like in their life. Also knowing that they can trust God no matter what, that God is there for them, that God is not going to turn their back on them, that God is for them. And then finally, that they should treat others the way they want to be treated, which, as I was looking at March's curriculum and also looking at the world as it is right now, I just was blown away by the fact that this is a constant need to help our kids see that the way we treat others is really important.
Absolutely. And I love that once our kids get to elementary, those things they learned in pre-K, God made me, God loves me, Jesus wants to be my friend forever, they don't go away. It's just like we're building upon it. And so our kids can really continue to grow in faith and have those foundational truths all the way through.
That's perfect. That's perfect. It doesn't stop, does it?
Not ever.
Oh my gosh. So when we go to the upper elementary age, really the thing that changes about how we are engaging with kids is that we're starting to question with them even more and ask them more detailed questions about, what these concepts mean and how they play out in their lives, and really starting to engage them in the exploratory process, which is developmentally appropriate and something that's really important to us, is to reach kids where they are and where they need to be.
It starts to kind of match almost a core group in that age level,
Absolutely.
which helps them kind of into that next step into the congregation. And I think it's a beautiful thing, and they have so much fun doing it.
Absolutely. So we're starting to explore ways that can happen outside of our physical classrooms, because we know so many people are worshiping online or engaging with these ideas outside of the Sunday morning church experience. So we're really excited to be able to do that.
Yeah, so many exciting things happening.
Yeah. So there's big stuff coming up, Bentley.
We have Easter coming up.
March, yeah.
The earliest Easter I've known. And we have 2 wonderful services coming up. We are fortunate to have the space at the Foundry, and right next to it is the Reverie. We've gone to see it. It's beautiful. We're going to have lots of really cool activities happening again at 9 and 10:45.
Yeah, out at the factory in Chesterfield?
Out at the factory in
Yes,
Chesterfield,
absolutely.
yes. But then we have to start thinking about, why is Easter important, and how do we deliver that information to kids? Yeah. Death is a very difficult subject to think about, and even though we have the joyous of rebirth, we start thinking, I think, in seasons. So we just finished Christmas season, this beautiful birth season. Well, then we have this new rebirth season to look forward to. What can we have that is reborn, and how does that look to kids? What is a rebirth to a kid? Maybe that means, we can go outside more now. Maybe that means, I think I'm going to finally try and be friends with this person that seems really cool. There's ways that we can kind of start thinking theologically towards children that can help frame that thought process of this huge, huge, fundamental, foundational Christian rebirth that we have in Jesus.
Mm-hmm. And those rebirths happen over and over again. But I love how you talked about making it relevant to kids' lives and relatable to what they're going through. I know a conversation that we've continually had is, how do we take these concepts and make them appropriate for where kids are and what they understand? Mm-hmm. And you're right, that idea of the death is sometimes really hard for kids to process, but also they do experience it. Mm-hmm. And we do see over and over again in our lives that rebirth happening Absolutely. In a lot of different ways.
And if we just kind of look at it as a season, life is a season. Everything has a season. Our flowers don't last through the winter, but they come back in the spring. And we can look at these things and have an angle that is acceptable and believable and understandable for the children, I think.
That's incredible. And so, a lot of our Gathering Kids exploring that we're doing in our curriculum is all sort of based on these ideas, right? And tied into that. So, Ellie, do you kind of want to talk us through a little bit about what kids are learning as they're going through?
Yes. So for March, we have such an exciting month for our kids. It is Easter, but also in the Sundays leading up to Easter, our kids are going to be learning some really great things. So in pre-K, which is from 0 until right before kids go to kindergarten, their theme this month is Go Team. And they're going to be focusing on one of those truths we mentioned earlier, which is that Jesus wants to be their friend forever. They actually have a memory verse. It's nice and short for their age. It is, I have called you friends, which is from John 15:15. And these are words that Jesus spoke to his followers and that also he shares with us as well. And really the big theme throughout all the weeks of March are that no matter who someone is, no matter if they are greedy or unkind or sick or poor or outcast, just anything we wouldn't necessarily expect, no matter who you are, no matter what, Jesus calls everyone who follows him friends today and forever. And so this theme of Jesus being our friend is going to be taught all through March, and it's going to really come together for Easter Sunday for our preschoolers.
And you know, with those preschool age kids, I mean, I don't know about you, but I remember when my kids were that age, that was when they were first starting to discover differences between people.
Yes.
You know, they've had their people who they've been with, their immediate family, and they're just starting to be out in the world exploring what it looks like to be in relationship with other people, with friends and with other people in preschool class and things like that. And oh my gosh, that's when you butt up against those disagreements and those questioning why people are different. And so this is so timely for kids. I think it's really relevant for what they're experiencing.
Yeah, and I think it's an opportunity for families not to shy away from those differences, but to celebrate them and just remind kids that no matter what the differences are, Jesus wants to be everyone's friend forever. And so that's true for every single person.
Does it feel uncomfortable to you all as parents sometimes when your kids identify differences out in public, and how do you deal with that? Like that sometimes I think is one of those awkward moments where we don't quite know how to address it, but this kind of does lend itself to those conversations.
We, as a family, have had to deal with that a lot because my son Finn has Down syndrome, and my kids are just very aware of different disabilities, and they ask questions about it, and it's something we talk about openly in our household. And I think one of the most important things is not shushing kids and, you know, shutting down their questions, but actually waiting for an appropriate time, maybe not right in front of the person they're asking a question about, but when you have a second, having a conversation, asking, did you notice something that was different about that person? What was that? How did it make you feel? And our kids they're so wise, and they have so many good thoughts and questions, and so I think that open dialogue is so important.
That's good. Such a good point.
The question of, do you have questions? I think that's vital,
Yeah.
because you don't need to put something in their head. You can say, what are your thoughts? What did you gain? And then be learners together.
Yeah,
That creativity and exploration all together and curiosity. I hope my kids never lose that, right?
Oh, I hope not.
Oh my gosh.
All right, well, I'll talk about elementary next. I had to write down some notes. Our elementary kids from kindergarten up through 5th grade are going to have the theme Connected this month, and the focus is peace. God making peace with us and us making peace with other people. So the big theme is peace is proving you care more about each other than winning an argument, which I thought was important for our kids, but also maybe for the grown-ups too. Yes. So, peace is the theme all the way through, and it makes a lot of sense with Easter being the last Sunday this month. Kids are going to be learning leading up to Easter, and it'll kind of like culminate on Easter Sunday, that when Jesus died on the cross, he made peace between God and mankind. So the application that kids can bring to their everyday lives outside of a Sunday is that they can reflect the character of Jesus by making peace with other people, making peace with kids at school, making peace with their siblings, really making peace with anyone they might have trouble getting along with. So what a great opportunity. And I know as a parent, I'm really excited that my kids will be hearing these things at church and not just from me.
So my big question for you all is, where in your family life do you look forward to talking about this peace and this willingness to create a sense of peace in how you interact?
I think my kids sit close to each other in the car, and sometimes there's like, what would happen if I poke this sibling? Or what would happen if I made a noise to bother this sibling? So talking about, how can we make choices that promote peace, and how can we respond when someone is maybe disrupting our peace, and do it in a way that, just facilitates peace in the household.
I love that.
And in the car.
And in the car.
We constantly reinforce the golden rule. And I phrase it more of, is that how you would like to be treated when maybe something is not the way anybody would like to be treated? Generally, that's a good way to start the conversation. Well, why did you treat somebody else like this? Okay. And did you think that was the way that they wanted to be treated? Questions like that, I think, help keep it a conversation.
I love that. That constant ongoing conversation about it.
Yes.
It's so real. And you mentioned the car.
Yes.
Which for
Great
us
place.
is like, it's just such a great place to have those
It's the
conversations.
honesty
Yes,
box.
it's true.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
They say that when you're facing the same direction, that you can have those honest conversations. It's less intimidating than looking eye to eye.
Yes, and no one can leave when you're in the car. So It's an easy
Fewer
way for it to happen.
distractions. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. So every month we have these virtues also that are sort of focused on through our curriculum. And again, in March, what is God doing in you to change the world around you? I love that so much. Like, how are we as humans on this earth interacting with each other? How are we agents for change? Because I think that's one of the things that as an adult is so frustrating sometimes, is I see these needs for change and it feels so far away. But learning what's in front of us that is in our control to do is so empowering for kids. Yes. You know, helps them to really understand. Proving you care more about each other than winning an argument. Oh my gosh. When I read that, I thought of, we had a moment last week in getting ready for school. It was just such a frustrating moment for me, I know, and for my girls also, where we all just sort of butted heads on a really messy room and people not being able to get ready in time. And when we got into the car this morning and we were running a couple minutes late, my older daughter said, "Mom, we're running late today, but we're at least all in a good mood, so that's a win, right?" But I think
Always
about
look at the
how,
bright side.
right, like what are the things we can control that then help us to go out into the world and make a difference and be open and ready to help other people and not tied into that. So
I think that for our dynamic, they always say that there's two types of people: those that love to win and those that hate to lose. Mm-hmm. I'm a person, I love to win. It's so much fun, but if I lose, it's fine. Mm-hmm. I'm raising a hate to lose. and that involves arguments. Mm-hmm. He does not understand that sometimes he's wrong, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. And it's a very difficult thing to, and I'm like, you're learning, you're not wrong. Yeah. So having to kind of figure out how to, just a completely different personality than my own, and how to shepherd that person into the best person they can be.
I mean, wouldn't it be so much easier if our kids were just like us?
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
Maybe. There you go.
The one piece of advice after having kids that I actually liked was, because everybody gives you advice, right? Somebody told me that you are not the person that is the boss. You are the shepherd. You are learning what this person is like and how to best help them equip themselves to be the best person they can be.
I love that.
And once I had that switch, a lot of the fights stopped.
Yeah.
A lot of the arguments. And I was like, okay, this is a person that is trying to be the best person they can be. Yeah. And it just happens to be my son.
Yeah. And it's cool that through that process of us working to like shape and mold our children, God's shaping and molding us.
Oh my gosh.
Which is hard, but really grateful for that.
I always think about that parenting is like the hardest thing that I have ever done. It's also the thing that almost anybody can access, right? Yeah. And so it's one of those moments where you have to dig down deep to do the thing that's not necessarily hard, but you have to do it repeatedly every single day, and in your bad moments and in your good moments, and you just are refined through that fire. Oh,
so true. Liz, we have some new ways for families to get connected, don't we?
We do, and this is really exciting. So we would love for you to follow us on Gathering Kids on social media. So that's for us, YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. We are pushing out information to help you to better connect with your kids and know how to have those conversations with them, and tie that into what's available to you through all of the resources that we share on a monthly basis. I encourage you to watch our weekly video stories together as a family. Whether you're accessing those solely through YouTube or whether you are using those as a supplement to what happens when your kids come to Sunday morning worship, either way, if you see what they're seeing and kind of re-emphasize the stories that they're hearing and can get some ideas on how to include that information into your conversations, that could be really helpful as a family. Consider weaving discussions about peacemaking and friendship into your family rhythms this week. And we mentioned the car as like this prime spot to have those conversations, but maybe it's car time. I know that everybody is really short on time, but even if it's car time or nighttime or breakfast in the morning, whatever that connecting point is for your family, those conversations about peacemaking and friendship can make a big difference in connecting those concepts.
For the littles, one of the things I see recommended is bath time. Your kids are playing and they're in one spot. They're not running around. And
great
so
idea.
It's a great spot to have a more focused conversation when they're really tiny.
That's perfect. Finally, Bentley mentioned this earlier, but if you're in St. Louis or near us, we would love to have you stop in and check out Sunday worship, or even join us for Easter at the Factory in Chesterfield, which is at 9 a.m. and 10:45 on Easter Sunday. finally, if you have any questions at all and you want to connect with the three of us, we would love to talk with you. And you can connect with us at kids@gatheringnow.org through email. Friends, this is a new and exciting thing that we're doing. Yes. And I'm so glad that we had this time to talk about what our goals are for March in kids ministry.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. We had a